Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see, one moment. So, great evening, great evening, great evening, and welcome to the Sonya Dungee podcast, episode number 99. Today, we are going to be talking about no need for guiltless explanations. I am your host, Sonya Dungee, and yes, we are still bringing the heat to the Facebook, YouTube, and IG streets. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Always Destined for Greatness, LLC, and I'm excited. I'm super excited, and thank you for waiting for me because I just finished Boss Masterclass, and we were speaking candidly, we were speaking transparently, we were speaking raw about grief and forward progression. And so I'm very thankful for all of you who joined tonight. And thank you once again for waiting. So without further ado, we are going to begin. I'm going to keep it short. We're going to keep it light for tonight and tell you about the things that are coming down the pike as well. So let's first talk about no need for guiltless explanations. Okay, I chose that topic for tonight because we talk a lot about grief. We talk a lot about being stuck, as I was for the 342 days. And for those of you who don't know who I am specifically or what I do, I'll tell you a little bit about my story for those of you who might be joining for the very first time tonight. So my name is Sonya Dungee. And the reason why I sit before you tonight is because if you can see behind me, this handsome gentleman right here is a picture of my dad and myself in happier times. And with that, back on January 23rd, 2021, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the VA Hospital in Northport, New York. It was 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I repeat that again. I'm sorry. In the height of the pandemic, where loved ones and family could not go to be with their loved ones to watch them take their last breath, or just be there to support them through their transition. And I thought in the middle of the night when I first went to see my dad that was going to be the last time I saw him, not knowing that I was going to be back there a couple of hours later to really say my goodbyes. And if you don't know my story, haven't heard of it before, I never saw it coming. Never saw it coming. I had no idea. We went to the doctor on a Thursday because my dad had taken really sick and was told he had 6 months to live. And not even 48 hours later, I'm watching my dad take his last breath. His last breath here on this earth and his first breath up in heaven. And because of that, it put me in a really, really bad place, a very dark place. I was spiraling out of control. I didn't take drugs. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything like that. However, I was still spiraling out of control. I lost a lot of weight. I became reclusive. I lied to anybody who dared ask me how I was doing. I didn't want to let them know how I was really doing. I didn't want to admit how bad I was. I didn't realize I had lost so much weight, because trust and believe, had I want to have lost that weight, I never would have been able to do it. And because of that, I spent 342 days stuck with no sense of direction, feeling like I had no purpose. I felt like that gerbil, or that hamster, if you will, on a wheel, just spinning around and around, not going anywhere, not doing anything, just going around and around and around. And those of you who can relate to what I am talking about, please put relate in the comment, or put value if you find value, or if you have a breakthrough, because I would really and truly like to know. But with that being said, I stayed in that place for 342 days. I missed out on so much. Holidays. At that time, I had 3 beautiful, amazing, young grandchildren that I really wasn't spending time with. I wasn't spending time with my friends. I wasn't spending time with my family. I wasn't doing a whole lot of anything. I was just doing the basic showering, throwing on whatever, because all I did was went from my bedroom across the living room into my shisha room, did my 6.5, 7.5, 8 hours, whatever I was assigned to for that day for my job, because at that time I was working from home for the first time in 20 some odd years ever, and still am to this day. And then I would shut down at the end of the night, shut the light off, walk back across the living room, back into my bedroom, shut the door, and nobody saw me again till the next day. And this continued on and on, day after day after day. And it wasn't till I realized I couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't conducive to my well-being. It wasn't conducive to my health. It wasn't conducive to my family. I was missing out on so much. I loved my grandchildren and didn't even know if they remember who I was anymore. And I didn't realize how bad I had gotten. And I didn't realize that family members were calling my sister, who lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and telling her what was going on. But it wasn't till the realization came that my dad's not coming back. We're not here to stay, to be absent from the bodies, to be present with the Lord. And yes, I am a child of God, and I make no bones about that. And I will mention God, Jesus, the Bible, and I don't wish to offend anybody, but I'm being 100% transparent. If it's not for you, I can respect that. I can respect that. I don't push my faith on anyone, but I will always talk about it. So with that being said, when I got to that point and didn't want to be stuck, and knew I had a purpose, and knew I loved people, and I knew I loved to volunteer, and I was involved in so many different activities and in so many different clubs, and the president of this and the president of that, and doing this and that, and being that life serial Mikey that always said yes to everything without even thinking it through. And I wasn't doing any of that. I needed to make a change. My father wouldn't expect that of me. He didn't raise his children to just give up. He taught his girls to be fighters and to be resilient and overcomers and go-getters. And I wasn't being any of that. And I have gone through so many things in my life already to get me to the point where I was, and I survived that. And the namesayers and the finger points and told me I'd never end up being anything in life, and I wouldn't graduate high school, I wouldn't graduate college, and I check, did all of that. Single mother with 2 children at the time. Wasn't the best mother, because I felt like I was a child too, but I did what I had to do. Check that box. So what was I doing? And when I realized that, and I knew I had to respect my dad's wishes, and I knew I had to carry on, and I knew I wanted to help people, and when I knew that my need and my want outweighed everything else, I started to seek out help. And in doing so, it was like a meeting of the minds. My now mentor, we met. I knew him before from previous travel business, but I didn't know him the way that I know him now. I met with him via Zoom. I was honest with him, cried a lot. He told me if I was teachable, if I was coachable, if I did the work and I showed up, that he would help me. And I did just that. I never missed a class to this day. I showed up no matter what, because I wanted it more than anything else in this world. I wanted to help people. I wanted to find my purpose. I didn't want to be stuck anymore. I didn't want to be stuck anymore. Being stuck and grieving is like somebody just taking a sword, a double-edged one at that, and just ripping your heart out. The pain was overbearing. And once I started getting on my feet and doing what I was supposed to and showing up and learning and growing and having a community that didn't judge me no matter what I said, no matter what I did, no matter how much I cried or yelled or screamed or whatever else I thought I might have done. And we always blame those onions or allergies, because there was many a times when we would cry because you know what? We were all human. And it felt good to know that there's other people that are there that aren't going to judge me the way some of my family was judging me. And I'm not saying it was bad that they were judging me, because they didn't want me to be the way that I was anymore. But they didn't know how to help me. It got to a point where when I started doing so well, one of my sisters thought I was drinking the juice or that I was involved in something else. So she had to join in, which I found out much later because I didn't know at the time. I was kind of embarrassed when she said it in class. I was like, oh my God. But you know what I noticed? The love that she had for me was greater than anything that she would have had to pay or anything that she would have had to endure to make sure that her little sis was okay. So if it meant joining something to make sure that everything was on the straight and narrow, that's what she did. And lo and behold, I'm so proud of her, because she is now an amazing integrated health and nutrition Coach Dawn Allen, and she is changing lives and doing amazing things. And that wouldn't have happened to the degree that it is had we not gone through the things that we went through to get us to where we are today. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why we're talking about no need for guiltless explanations, because it's just that. If you're moving past being stuck in grief. Now, let me just back up for 1 second just to say, I'm not saying you're never going to grieve again. Disclaim that, because you will. And I'm not saying that you're going to grieve about what you've been grieving. Let's disclaim that, because you will. All I'm saying is, once you have the tools necessary and you know what to do, and you know that it's okay to go back, it's okay to grieve, but just don't get stuck in it, then you can go on to do amazing things. Because as we talked about tonight in the Boss Masterclass and the 5 steps to navigate from the grief paralysis to the forward progression one day at a time, we spoke about grief and the 5 steps of grief and the 5 stages, of grief. And then we talked about the 5 steps necessary to be able to move forward. One day at a time, 1 step, that's all it takes. 1 step more than the day before. That's all it takes. Nobody's expecting you to take leaps and bounds, because it's not going to happen. I'm transparent. I'm going to be 100%. I'm going to share my story, and I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to leave out anything. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, because there's nothing to sugarcoat. It's true. It's hard. The reality is it's painful. But there comes a time, you might not be there just yet, but there will be a time, I promise you, where you'll be able to feel as though that you can take a step forward and you won't have to feel stuck. And when I say no need for guiltless explanation, I mean there's no need that you have to feel guilty about wanting to move forward. You're not forgetting about the person who's moved on, who whether it's and let me also backtrack and say that when you grieve, it's not necessarily a loss because somebody has passed on in your life. It could be so many different reasons. It could be divorce. It could be a bad breakup. It could be because you lost a job. It could be that you found a job and that you have to reroute your family and pick them up from everything that they've known and the children in school to go to another state or another location to be able to support, to work in your job, in your field. It could be you're fighting over custody in a bad divorce with your children. It could be that your little fur baby's passed on. There's so many that we spoke about today. It could be that you went through some type of natural disaster and you lost your home. So many different things that we grieve for. Life challenges, hardship. We grieve for that. So now that we've discussed that, and when you're ready to move on, that one step more than the day before, you don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't, because you're not disrespecting a loved one. You're not disrespecting your situation, your hardship. Especially, that's when we speak more about the grief, and as people say, loss. In my heart and in my mind and my soul, I choose to say, and it's just me, that they've moved on, that they've passed on, because I'll always have them in my heart. I'll always have them in my soul. I will always have them in my mind, and nobody can ever take that from me. So that's why I personally choose to say pass on and not loss. And so with that being said, I didn't feel guilty that I wasn't stuck anymore, because I knew better. I knew my dad would not want that for me at all. And I could hear him saying, Sonya, Simone, snap out of it. Because once my father said Simone, anything I thought I might have done, I wasn't doing. Anything that I wasn't even thinking of doing, I wasn't going to think about it ever. Because that was enough to stop me in my tracks. And I felt that that's what he was saying. So I didn't feel guilty, because I knew that I had a purpose, and I knew I wanted to help people. And to this day, that's what I'm doing. I'm a transformation coach, and I help those that are suffering, that are feeling stuck, that feel like they have no direction, they have no purpose. I help them navigate and move forward from that, so that they can achieve their economic independence, and so that they can move forward in their purpose. And that's just a portion of what I do. I just cut it down so that we can have this conversation, and it wasn't going to be about me and what I do. But I do, and I help those that are going through the storm, or about to go through a storm, or just went through a storm, or is on the outside looking into somebody who is in that situation, as I once was, and how my friends and my loved ones was looking on the outside, not knowing what to say or do. But I'm telling you, if you have gotten to the point where you are beginning to move on, and you are going after your goals and your dreams, whether go back to school, whether no matter what it is, whatever your goals and your dreams are, to become the very best version of yourself, that's what's important. And don't you dare feel guilty about that. Don't you dare feel like you are disrespecting anybody, because you are not. Because I can guarantee you that if it is after someone has passed on, they would have wanted that for you. They wouldn't want you to be stuck. And that's the message that I wanted to bring to you tonight. Because in the beginning, I didn't know what to do. And once I started learning what to do and how to do it, and I started working on myself, my self-development, my personal development, me, and not worried about what anybody else was thinking or doing, I started to feel better about myself. I let go. I didn't feel guilty. I worked harder, because I knew that meant that this was my calling, and this was my story that I needed to tell. I needed to share it with anyone and everybody every single day, using social media for the right reasons, using that as an avenue, as a path to reach out to people, and to ask the people that were watching, then if they knew of someone, a friend or a loved one, that was going through something that I was talking about when it came to grief or hardship or life challenges, that they would share with them. And they would put them before me so that they can hear what I was saying and that we can have an honest conversation, and so that I can help them, so that they could find their purpose, and so that they could emulate, do the same thing that I was doing, and help those and answer to the voices that they were called to serve. That's what it's about. So again, there's no need for guiltless explanations. You don't owe anybody an explanation. And if you go back sometimes and you revisit the grief, it's okay. I'm giving you validation. It's okay. It's just not okay to be stuck in it too long. It's not okay for you to give up on yourself, because I'm not going to. Because I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I once was you. And when I say it, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, from my very being. I mean it. It's my life mission to help those that are going through these very things that I've been mentioning every day. We're on the 99th episode. Christmas will be the 100th episode. That's not even counting all the other lives, the walk and talk with Sonya's, the special events. I didn't even include those in these 99, soon to be 100. And then once we celebrate the 100th episode on Christmas, New Year's Eve, we're going to celebrate the 101 episode. And we're going to do a recap, and I have some surprises in store. I'm not feeling guilty. I miss my dad? Yes. Do I miss my mama? Yes. Do I miss my mom? Absolutely. Do I miss my grandma? Absolutely. Do I miss everybody else that's gone, friends and family? Absolutely. But this is how I'm honoring them. This is what I'm doing to move forward. This is what I'm doing because I know that this is what I am supposed to do. This is what God has gifted me for. I know I'm an overcomer. I know I'm an encourager. I know I'm resilient. And I'm going to keep bringing it. I'm going to keep coming before you. And I'm going to keep doing podcasts until two things happen. God sends for me to go home, or he's coming back to get me. Until then, I am going to be present. I am going to show up. And as long as I'm sick enough to open up my mouth that you can understand what it is I'm saying, I'm going to be present. And if I can't do it, I can't do it. However, since we're being transparent, a couple of weeks ago, I was sick, and my daughter offered, because she knew how much it meant to me, she offered to be the host of the night. And I almost had her do it. And then I said, you know what? I can't, because in my mind, it was like, it'll be this one night when somebody's searching for what it is that I have to say, and I'm not there to deliver it. I'm not there to show my face. I'm not there to be present so that you could hear me and you could see me and you could see my dad's picture, and you could understand my passion and my drive, and you could understand where I came from and to where I am and the direction that I'm going. And I could share with you, and I can help you, and I could just be available. And speaking about availability, I'm going to share my calendar with all of you so that anytime that you need me present, I'm there. And I know you've been paying attention to the pop-ups. We're doing the 12 days of Christmas. And for every day, I talk about something to do with the 12 days of Christmas. And then I keep bringing it back to the first day. And then the first day is my gift from me to you was 30 minutes free with you and me. So that still stands. So make sure that you pay attention, because every day there's one person that's first come, first serve that's going to get to my calendar link, and you have been, to do that, to get that free 30 minutes with me. So with that being said, I want to thank you for joining as always. Thank you for waiting for me. You knew I was going to show up. I just knew you knew I was going to show up, but I was running late from my masterclass, and that's important to me, and I didn't want to rush it. that I had to set up for tonight. And seems like we got it right. So we are on all 3 platforms. So I'm very grateful for that as well. It's the holiday season, guys. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of spiritual warfare, a lot of people that need prayer. Let's just say it like that. They need prayer, that they're going through things in their life and they don't know how to reach out or who to turn to, and they're stuck as well. And so they're miserable. So people like that we have to pray for. But at the same time, we also have to be careful. So if something's not right, if it doesn't look right, it's not, it ain't, I use that word ain't in that regard. It's not. If you see a dollar bill on that ground, you're best to leave it there. Don't you touch it. No matter how tempted you are, it's $1, 100 pennies. You see the pennies back in the day, we used to pick up any coins that's on heads and all this. Don't touch it, because there's a lot of things that's going on and they're laced with things. And if you touch it, people are getting sick, or it is a lure for hijacking and for robbery. It's causing people to pass out. And when they come to, their car is gone, their wallet's gone, their pocketbooks is gone. Or even worse, people are being kidnapped. So please be careful. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want you to be safe. And as far as staying well, you already know. If you got a symptom, if something's not right, it's not right. It ain't right. Don't allow for a small symptom to turn into something bigger. I tell you that all the time. And something I haven't mentioned in a while, but I do mean it. Get in that mirror every day, every mirror. I don't care where you are. If you don't want to be elaborate and you talk your affirmations, then smile. If you're at work, if you're in your car, if you're in your house, we all got compact mirrors. There's no excuse. Everybody got a mirror somewhere. Get in that mirror. I am valuable. I'm a child of God first and foremost. I am deserving to be here. I beat out millions to be here. Scientific fact. Can that negativity allow it to fuel your fire, catapult you into the direction in which you are choosing to go in? Negativity got me far. I'd burn all that negativity. And look where I am today. People told me I wasn't going to graduate high school because I missed 6 months because I had to go to another school in another state. It's another story for another day. I was taking college preparatory classes. So when I came back to New York, how are you going to tell me I can't graduate with a chosen Regents diploma? Oh, no. I got my Regents diploma. I was told I was going to be on welfare for the rest of my life. I didn't know what welfare even was until I was pregnant with my son. I surpassed that. I was told I wasn't going to go to college graduate. You can't tell me I can't do something because I'm going to find a way to do it. As long as it's legal, I'm going to do it. Be safe. Stay well. God bless you all. And remember, be always destined for greatness, your very best. And don't you dare try to compare your beginning to somebody else's middle, because you don't know what they really do and you don't know what they're about. Stay in your own lane. Handle your business. Be destined for your greatness, your very best. Hint, hint, till I pop up later today to give you the next gift on the 12 days of Christmas, like the elf on the shelf. Bye for now.